video we'll be going through bench press, correct form and common faults. So, setting up for the bench press, one thing that I see all the time with clients is sort of mistaking the bench press for just being a chest exercise. Really we're getting our chest, shoulders and triceps, but really you should be using your full body for the bench press. All the time I see clients just lying down on the bench and just kind of using their arms, and you're actually missing out on a whole bunch of power and strength you can be getting through your whole body. So let's get Adam to set up under the bar. So if we just go for how most people would just sort of would set up, just sort of a fairly relaxed body and just unwrap. So this would look fairly correct. Adam, just go for a couple of reps. Wouldn't be anything obviously wrong here. Just re-rack there. But with this weight, this is fairly comfortable for Adam. If we were going for a heavier weight, or even over time once he starts to do more reps, this might start to break down a little bit, doing it the way he just did. So to unrack the bar, once he takes hold of the bar, we want it to be sort of just outside shoulder width, so not too wide because that's going to really put pressure on the shoulders, but not too narrow because that's not going to get the chest muscles like we want it to. So from here, what we really want is slight rotation. So you can almost imagine, you can say to your client, imagine you're going to try and bend that bar, or you can say, imagine I've put a couple of oranges under your armpits and you're going to try and squeeze them. Anything that gets this lat activation. So you'll see, if I imagine I'm bending a steel bar, this happens, and from the side you'll see a slight arch of the back happening. From there you can see there's a little bit of a gap under Adam's back. That is fine in bench press. I know a lot of other exercises, for example deadlift, squats, we're looking for a completely neutral spine. A slight arch is actually fine for for bench pressing, sorry. So from here, nice deep breath and unracking the bar. So he's going to lift it up to over his chest, and he's going to keep that slight feeling of bending the bar as he lowers the bar down all the way to his chest and then drives up strong. So we are looking for that full range of motion. It should just touch the sternum. Nice, Adam. All right, we can wrap there. Okay, so that was with good form. So he's unwrapped it nicely. His feet are driving firmly into the floor here. So as I said, this should be a full body movement. As the weight starts to get heavier, you're going to want to use a little bit of leg drive even. So what I could ask Adam to do is keep his feet flat on the floor. Unwrap again for me, Adam. So nice tight position. You can see squeezing his shoulder blades together underneath. So they're sort of squeezing on the bench. And if I was standing here, imagine I was coaching him and I was squatting him. Imagine this is a much heavier weight for Adam. As he drives up, I'm going to ask him to imagine he's going to try and push himself on the bench towards me. That's going to get him using his feet, and he'll almost get a bit of a leg drive through it as well. So you can see how strong this looks now. He's looking in a tight position. Perfect, okay, rest it there. Good, okay, so if you've got someone who's fairly beginner to it, you might not need to give them sort of as many cues, but you do want to make sure their feet are flat on the floor and that they are tight through their whole body. Otherwise you might start to see a bit of this happening, really wide elbows, which is just going to start to put pressure on the shoulders and on the chest. So we want to see more like this angle. Forearms are vertical at the bottom of the rep. So you don't want to see the wrists kind of falling in or being out too wide. You want to see vertical forearms at the bottom of the rep. So that would be one of the common problems, really just bad setup. The second one that we would see is lacking range, or maybe going too much range, or maybe too much weight. So as I said, we want it to touch the chest. A lot of the time, this can be a bit of an ego lift, unfortunately, so there might be too much weight on the bar, and it will lead to this happening, not enough range. So just kind of doing top half reps, really. You're missing out on so much range there, and you're not going to get anywhere near as much work on the pecs or on the triceps or on the shoulders. The other sort of opposite problem, I suppose, is almost using your sternum as a bit of a springboard, which can be really, really damaging. So you might see someone really bouncing it off their chest. It will happen quite often when you see someone coming down slowly, and then that last range of motion, they don't quite have that range, so they kind of then bounce it. So you can see there he's going slow, then fast. what you might use to correct this is some paused reps. So what I'd ask Adam to do is come down for a count of 4, and then hold for 2 at the bottom, just above the sternum, and then drive up. So, and again, ads. So he's really, really having to hold and build strength in that bottom range of motion and not just let it go and bounce off his chest. So to get a good position on the bench and to get this nice shoulder squeezing back and down and the lats really, really activating, that can be quite a difficult sort of position to replicate or for the client to sort of get used to doing. So what I might do in the warm-up or even in between sets, this could be a really, really good exercise to do in between your sets on bench press, is to go for a band pull apart. So as it says on the tin, take a resistance band. It doesn't need to be a particularly thick one. You can see it's quite a thin band here. Ask your client or for yourself to set your shoulder blades back and down, and then you're just pulling the band apart with straight arms. So I'm not going for this, where I'm trying to just pull the band apart. I'm trying to use my shoulder blades. So shoulder back and down, squeeze your shoulder blades together. You can see my shoulder blades, my shoulders staying down away from my ears. So you don't want to hunch up. That is going to be the same feeling. So retracting the shoulder blades, that's where we're going to be for the bench press. So I might ask my client to do sort of 3 sets of 10 reps or so in the warm-up and really squeeze for a few seconds at the back of each rep. Or in between, you could ask them to do it. It's not going to fatigue the same muscle group, so you could, by all means, Adam could do his set of sort of 10 to 12 reps on bench, and while he's resting, you could use that to really reinforce that same feeling of squeeze those shoulder blades together. Okay, so looking at hand position on the bar, we want just outside the shoulders. So here we can see Adam, if you just do a rep for us, and just hold at the bottom. Here he's got a nice vertical forearm, okay? So it's not bending in and it's not too far out. Just re-rack the bar, just take your hands wide now. So this would be sort of not ideal position. So you can see here, this is really, really putting too much pressure on his pecs. It'll be starting to damage his shoulders a bit over time as well. Too narrow. 2 things could happen here. Either he's doing a pretty good form. This would be more like a close grip bench press really, which is going to target the triceps more, not so much the chest. Or Adam, if you could just go for it and kind of let your elbows flare out, so keep the bar and just... So here, this is going to be really, really bad. He's going to be kind of letting his elbows come out too wide, pressure down through the elbows. We don't want this at all. So talking about position on the bench, at the beginning I spoke about Adam having a slightly arched back and that being good position. I just wanted to quickly cover what you might see some of the guys in the gym doing who are powerlifters or people who are lifting really, really heavy. You might see this kind of thing happening with a really arched spine. So just bear in mind Adam isn't a powerlifter, so we're going to just try and get him to do it as much as possible. But a hyperextended spine, you often actually see it a lot in female powerlifters who have very flexible spines. And obviously these guys are really, really strong, so you might think, oh, if they're doing it, should I do that? For most of us, you don't need to worry about that at all. The reason that they are doing that is because it is a competitive standard in powerlifting that the bar must touch their chest. So obviously, one way that they can reduce the range they have to lift the bar is by sort of getting their chest a little bit higher. So whilst it's fine to have a bit of an arched back, and that is actually quite a good, strong position, we don't want to have a super, super arched back, generally speaking, for most people if you're just looking to train in the gym. So slightly arched, you can see a little bit of a gap underneath it. You can see squeezing his shoulder blades together. This is a nice strong position, but it doesn't need to be anything much more than this.